guys, welcome back, or welcome if this is your first episode tuning in with me. My name is Melissa and I'm here to help you, to guide you through the world of wine. So if you're someone who might be new to the wine world, who wants to learn just a little bit more about wine, you are in the right spot, my friend. So this is my second episode so far, and today I'm so excited to talk to you guys about Cabernet Sauvignon. So sit back, relax, grab a glass of your favorite wine, and join me on this journey. Okay, so in the last episode, I covered champagne and sparkling wine. And I want to clarify something a little bit because it can be kind of confusing. Champagne is a region, not a grape varietal used to make the wine. The typical grape varietals used to make champagne are Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, and Pinot Meunier. So you may be kind of wondering why some wines are referred to by the grape varietal itself or the region that it comes from. Reading wine labels can be very confusing because sometimes the biggest word you see on the label is the varietal, but then sometimes it's the region, and then sometimes it's the vineyard or the producer. So here's a very simple high-level way to kind of help wrap your brain around the names and what it means associated with the label on the wine. So understanding a wine label may not always tell you how the wine tastes, but it can help you get a better picture of exactly what you're buying. So I'm gonna, for reference, use info directly from the Wine Folly book in today's episode to help me explain everything. Just want to give that as a disclaimer because it's a fantastic read, and if you're looking to enhance your wine knowledge, that's the book for you, my friend. So earlier I mentioned the word producer. A wine producer is a person or company that makes, bottles, distributes, or otherwise markets wine. So the wine producer may grow his or her own grapes on site, but other wine producers, might purchase grapes from established vineyards and use them to make their own wines. It's important to note that, for example, in America, some wine labels, that only have a wine name, such as APOTHIC Red, are branded wines from larger wine companies. APOTHIC Red is a branded wine by E&J Gallo, which is the producer. I also earlier mentioned the word region. The region indicates from where the grapes were sourced to produce the wine. So a wine from a larger region is typically a value wine, whereas a wine from a specific vineyard site often indicates a higher quality regional designation. So when you see California versus Santa Rita Hills. Generally, as you narrow the source to a specific site, the quality level becomes more refined and the price goes up. The more specific with the location, usually it means it's a little bit more expensive and higher quality wine. So, and a grape varietal simply means the grape or grapes that are used to make the wine itself. So Merlot, for example, is a grape varietal, or if you see CMS blend, it's usually Cab Merlot Syrah blend. And some wines are labeled by region, so wines like Bordeaux, Chablis, Chianti, Sancerre, and Rioja are labeled by region. This style is usually mostly for old world wine countries like France, Italy, Spain, and Portugal. Regional labeling likely came from a time when many different varieties grew together in the same vineyards and were blended together into wine. So likely if you see a wine that makes the region the most obvious part, it's an old world. So like I said, most likely from France, Italy, Spain, or Portugal. If you're seeing the varietal stand out the most on the label, it's likely from the New World, so for example, that's places like the US, Argentina, New Zealand, South Africa, Australia, and of course, many more. And of course, there are exceptions to all of this, but these are all just good rules of thumb. I always say, if you don't know what to call the wine, look at the biggest word or word that stands out on the label, and that's what you're gonna call it, friend. That's what you should call it. I'm still learning too, so I'm not always right on all of this stuff, but that's what I go with. All right, so back to why we're here. We're gonna talk about the world's most popular red wine grape, Cabernet Sauvignon, or what most people mean when they say the word cab when they're ordering wine. Most people don't know that Cabernet Sauvignon is a natural cross between Cabernet Franc grapes and Sauvignon Blanc grapes from Bordeaux, France. Dr. Carol Meredith and her research group at UC Davis were the first to use DNA typing to identify the percentage of different wine varieties. It wasn't until 1996 that the world learned Cabernet Sauvignon was indeed the child of Cabernet Franc and Sauvignon Blanc. So while the varietal has been around far longer than that, that info wasn't discovered until 1996. So also, Cabernet Sauvignon is the most planted wine grape in the world, something like 720,000 acres. Its primary flavors, will vary based off of the region in which the grapes are predominantly grown, but you're gonna get a lot of black cherry, black currant, baking spices, cedar, and graphite. Its taste profile is usually dry, very full-bodied, medium to high tannins with medium acidity, and anywhere from 13.5% to 15% alcohol by volume, which is the highest alcohol content a wine can be without actually being fortified, aka that after dinner wine that has that higher alcohol content in it. But I'll go more in depth about fortified wines in another episode, so don't worry about racking your brain on that right now. Many people think most reds are best served at room temp. However, if you live somewhere other than Europe, you're likely going to want to make sure something like a Cab Sav is served at a lower temperature, specifically 60 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit. So you're probably like, well, how the heck am I going to know if I don't have a fancy wine fridge? So a good rule of thumb, with most reds, put your red in the fridge 20 minutes before you're ready to serve it. Then it should be that kind of ideal drinking temperature. So give that a try and let me know what you think. Here are some of the top Cabernet regions and some of the tasting notes you're gonna get. So from Bordeaux, France, you're gonna get black currant, anise, tobacco leaf, plum sauce, pencil lead. And then South Australia, you're gonna get probably like black plum, white pepper, currant, candy, chocolate, and bay leaf. In Chile, you might get blackberry, black cherry, fig paste, baking spices, green peppercorn, and fun fact, Chile offers some of the best values for exceptional quality Cabernet Sauvignon. And of course, the most well-known area for cabs, the north coast of California. You're probably gonna get black currant, black cherry, pencil lead, tobacco, mint. And I want to tell you a little bit more about California cabs. So the North Coast AVA, which stands for American Viticulture Area, includes Napa Valley, Sonoma, and some lesser-known regions that produced outstanding Cabernet Sauvignon. The area became known for Cabernet when in 1976, an English wine merchant held a blind tasting featuring French and California wines with France's top wine critics, later dubbed the Judgment of Paris. The California wines won, proving that great wine could be made outside of France, even though I love French wine. So here's the best part, the food pairing. For all my steak lovers out there, this is a great option for you. Cabernet Sauvignon is a great partner also to rich grilled meats, peppery sauces, and dishes with a lot of flavor. But don't confuse peppery with spicy. Spicy food goes better with a wine that's a little bit sweeter. But if you've got peppery, earthy, and hearty, this is gonna go great with a Cab Sav. So steak has higher levels of proteins and fats and thus needs a wine with higher tannins such as a Cab Sav. So that's why I always say steak goes great with a Cab. So I know I said I'd share my top 3 favorites based off of pricing like I did in my last episode, but y'all, there are so many cabs out there that I kind of want to recommend like regional rankings instead and kind of go from there. You can't go wrong with a Cab Bordeaux blend. Obviously, this is going to be from Bordeaux, France. A great example of this is a Chateau Montelena, or a Napa Cab like Groth or Beringer Knights Valley. And then some of the more affordable cabs are going to be things like Josh. It's not my absolute favorite, but you do the job, Josh. Like, thumbs up to you, bud. But something I love between that $30 to $40-ish range is Gundlach Bundschu. Here's how to spell that. A wine mentor shared with me that the best way to remember how to actually pronounce it is to picture a gun, a lock, a bun, hopefully a cinnamon bun, and a shoe. So just a little bit about Gundlach Bundschu Cabernet. It's a 91-point rated cab from Sonoma Valley, California, and is described as robust in dried herb and graphite. This is a weighty, structured, and tannic red blend with small amounts of some Bordeaux and Malbec. And classic elements of currant and clove add to the overall mix of the vintage-appropriate density and power. So all of the wines I mentioned are found at your favorite places like Total Wine, ABC, and some are even at Publix if you're an Orlando girl like me and love Publix, and of course many more places. Google is your friend, y'all. Use it and abuse it. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please, please, please subscribe and share this with your friends, and I'll see you in the next episode. Cheers.